Surgery. We do it each and every Tuesday from 8 until 11, or when we get here. Welcome back. If you're a first-time listener, what's the Doctor's Surgery? Doctor's Surgery is Britain's first Black current affairs show where we have interesting dialogue with you, the listening audience, giving us a call, having a chat about things that have taken place in the media over the last 7 days, things that pertain to us as a people, and clearing up those little nuances and those little narratives that tend to pop up here and there. If you want to listen to the show, if you missed the first half, you can go back and watch the whole thing again and listen the whole first half by going onto your YouTube. In the search bar in YouTube, you search for the Doctor's Surgery, then you go to the refine button, and then you refine by type, and then you select channels, and the Doctor's Surgery would be right there in black and white right at the top. Subscribe. You can listen to the show, the recorded version of the show, whenever you want. There's loads of old shows on there that you can go back and listen to and take note and share with your friends and network. Allow the show to grow in stature and nature so that we can get some more listening audience online, as well as on Omega 104.1. So yes, all the different places you can listen to the show: Omega 104.1, OmegaFMradio.co.uk. The Mixcloud, I'm not sure if it's working today, but it's mixcloud.com/OmegaBJ. So all those places you can go and listen. So remember, the London Borough of Brent African Caribbean Community Leadership Election, having one voice, a united voice, someone that we can we can have regular meetings with, and they can share the consensus of what's going on within the community in whenever a spearhead. We need each Black communities right across the UK should have a spirited leader that speaks for the community. So whenever it is these moments of ill judgment and zero tolerance required, they will be the spearhead for such action. I think that's something that's important and necessary. Go to Facebook, Omega Radio 104.1 homepage, scroll down to Black Community Leader Election, and then click the logo to vote. At the moment, the list has moved from 15 now down to 3 to 6. Left on the list in the race is an Amented Awakener. Andrew Mohammed has been crossed off. Cheryl Phoenix, High Priest Amun, Lady M, Leonard Johnson, and Nubian Jack. Those are the 6 remaining candidates. The cutoff date is Christmas Day, Babylon Christmas Day, 25th of December 2020. The community leader elected will be announced on the last day of Kwanzaa, 1st of January 2021. Oh, well. See, I don't even know when Kwanzaa is in. Who know when Kwanzaa is? I put the wrong information. I said the first day I put no. Let me not give too much trouble. Text message read about the Bernardo's situation before. Actually, before I go into that, give us a call if you were listening to the first half. Let me know if the explanation on the vaccine and how it works has helped. And like I said, sometimes you have to read in between the lines, But again, it's not for me to tell people what to do. I have to make that part clear, But when I say read in between the lines, your genetics are essentially you. So whatever and whenever you play around with the genetics, make sure that it do what it says on the tin. If you're gonna mess around with it, because it's you. And if you change that or you mess that up, it's you. Is that clear? I'm not telling anyone to not to or to. I'm just saying your genetics are you. Right. So you can go and listen back to the first half of the show. I had to dissociate the 2 comments. So hopefully I didn't lose any listening audience to But if it was helpful, let me know. I can do small segments, such similar segments in the future on various things, if that was a helpful process. But if not, I'll take it as shut up and continue on with the chat show. So number to call to let me know is 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again, 0753 996 8143. One more time for the money. All right, your phone ready, pen ready. 0753 996 8143. Let me know if that information and breakdown in the first part of the show was helpful on the vaccine for those who heard it that are still listening. So there was a text message that read about Bernardo's, or Barnardo's, I don't know how to pronounce it. And it says Bernardo's sparked row after suggesting parents and grandparents should teach children about white privilege. So Britain's biggest children's charity was at the center of a storm recently. Recently. There you go. When was it? When did they put out that? Oh. So and that was on the 6th of December, or the 5th of December. It suggested that parents and grandparents should teach children about white privilege. Barnardo's was reported to the official charity regulator after Tory MPs claimed that its political activism could be incompatible with its charitable status. The attack came from a dozen MP, including ex-Tory cabinet minister Esther McVey, who spent 4 years in a Barnardo's home. She told the Sunday Telegraph she was deeply troubled by the charity's guidance, saying it was a misguided and misjudged move away from what the charity is about and what it ought to be doing, helping to keep those black folks in place. Yeah, is that what you were trying to say, Miss McVey? Tell you what I want to call him, but I can't call you that on here. The intervention by Tory MP comes after Equalities Minister Kemi Badenoch, if that's how you pronounce it, said in October that teaching children about white privilege and their inherited racial guilt could be breaking the law. But the charity hit back yesterday with Vice President Dr. David Barnardo saying the organization could not be colorblind and that Black, Asian, and minority ethnic children face additional challenges. The row centers around a new guidance for Barnardo's entitled "White Privilege: A Guide for Parents." So, and that was posted online a few weeks ago. So, yeah, it's an article. You guys can go and have a look at that and get a bit more information. But yeah, that text message came in highlighting that. What's my take on it? I've been thinking about this white privilege conundrum for a while, and the reason I call it a conundrum is because in one way, when we say white privilege, we're acknowledging an institutional factor within society that gives an advantage to those of people from a white background. A lot of them will say, no, that's not there, but we all know it's there, and it's not. We're not berating or belittling someone by saying it's there because it's there. However, I don't know how the best way to address white privileges is as yet. I think it needs to be recognized. But when we say as white privilege, privilege is something that is akin to positivity. And I think that whenever we coin a phrase for white folks, we always give it an admirable name, rather than we should call it white people bias in a society if you always try to stay ahead. So, something that is a bit more of a disparaging position, because if I was white, who wouldn't want white privilege? And if you're black, who would want black privilege? You know, if there was such a thing. So we have to be mindful of the terms. Yeah, is what I'm saying making sense? We have to be mindful of the terms that we use when we present these things. You want, can you take over from me? uh, I'm on here. So yeah, it's like so we have to be mindful of what you know and how we present information. That's all I'm saying. And I haven't really done enough background into it as yet, but I think it's an important factor that needs to be highlighted, but not highlighted with such warm and positive terms, with such a warm and positive term as white privilege. It should receive something that pushes denigration towards an unbiased and unfair system, so we attack it at its core. But when we say white privilege, it sounds warm and cozy. And imagine talking to a white person who's got prejudicial thinking about white privilege. In their head, they're just thinking, yeah, shut up. You know what I'm saying? But so you have to be a bit more like a tip of a spear piercing armor with the terms we use. That's the only thing I would say towards that at the moment, in my position on that. So we big up the person that texts that in. If you're still listening, I do apologize for taking so long. Call Bisi Basi. I do apologize for to not coming to that text earlier. Just a quick summary in terms of what we discussed in the early part of the show. We talked about the speech by Donald Trump that was widely and pervasively ignored in the media, and I laugh because it's so blatant now. It's no one's hiding. Some people say these are the end of days and so forth. These are great days, because if you don't see who's who right now, then you're as blind can be, and you perhaps will never see. Everyone is showing their true colors right now. The news and media outlets, they're showing their true colors. They back aside, and they we can say that the news and media outlets have never liked Donald Trump. When you talk to most people, they have a strong hatred for that. Even children hate Donald Trump. When you talk to children, that's when you know the media is powerful. When you speak to children and you hear how much they hate Donald Trump. Donald Trump was hated as much as Saddam Hussein. And it's unheard of for what he did in comparison to what was presented out there. So it's interesting, how the media takes its role in all of that. So, we have a live caller. Call, you live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I forgot to ask you earlier. There was a situation, I heard about that was happening in South London, Brixton.
Okay.
Regarding the allegations that were made against a certain member of the community.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I just wanted to know what your thoughts on that situation, and in particular, the young lady who has, publicized the whole thing, because it's such an expensive, allegation that I wonder if you think that she should be given some kind of protection so nothing happens to her while all this is being looked into.
Oh man, you put me on the spot with that one. I had a discussion with management, and it was agreed that I wouldn't discuss it because how can I put it? I don't agree with what has taken place. I feel that we have to allow due process to take place in situations, and when you've destroyed someone's image and reputation, irrespective of whatever takes place from this point onwards, that man will be guilty in the eyes of some for time immemorial, whether he did or did it not. Yeah, and it is, it, and if he did, deservedly so. If he didn't, he's still getting what someone guilty would have deservedly so have received. And
is your reservation sort of based on the fact that when she done it? Because
yes, I think it should have been. I think in all these situations, we have to allow due process in terms of it coming out and saying it like that in that way, and that in that sense is the same as going to the authorities. So if you're going to do it, go to the authorities and allow due process to take place. With due process taking place, the authorities would have come out and if it's guilty or not guilty or no or whatever, at least it gives that person a chance back towards a normal life. But what has taken place now, he can never have a normal life again, whether he did or he did it not, because even when I see him, might say, wait, this brother, you know what I'm saying? And it's not right. It's not right, because if he...
It's not right. But you see, I'm trying to look at this as fairly as possible. Okay? Obviously, people that were very close to her, they've told her that certain things would have come to them by certain persons. Given her background, okay, I think she's also trying to prepare an legal case. But one of the major things about that is that the people themselves who reported the matter themselves are public with it.
Exactly. Why I heard so much different things about that thing there, the recorded stuff that you're making reference to. And throughout the whole thing, the only person that didn't seem to have an axe to grind was the person that was making that made the allegation. Everyone else that was supportive of the allegation in some way had an axe to grind. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, and I'm not saying that they're right. I'm just saying the level ground of fairness and due process was robbed. And I'm saying only if he didn't do this, he's still going through the tear, the trauma, and the denigration. His name's Mud from now on. They might as well call him Mud. Be real.
Yeah, yes. You see, sometimes you got to understand that there's no smoke without fire. All right? And I think the way she done it was a crime for her. She didn't know any other way. She wanted to make people aware of what she's been made aware of. Unfortunately, in this day and age, everybody uses social media to communicate, and it's just like that. But here's the thing: if you are indeed innocent, he's done the right thing by going first to the police and stuff like that, and they advised him that it should, really be a civil matter. Now, most people, once they can give you that advice, the next course of action is that straight away you're going to want to explore that option, which is to go and take the matter to the court so you can clear your name.
But remember, the courts, once such mud is thrown, right? You winning or losing in the courthouse with sexual allegations, you winning or losing in court doesn't clear your name. You winning or losing in court just means you didn't go to prison. With sexual allegations, because there's such a mark against those kind of things, such a terrible mark against those kind of things, rightfully so. Even when someone is in an innocent position, they still leave that situation with a terrible mark. So the fact is, it's just that if someone, look at it this way: if someone goes to court on a murder charge and they beat the case, they're celebrated for beating a murder charge, even when they're guilty. Do you get what I'm saying? When someone goes to court on a sexual allegation, it don't matter whether I win or lose. Yeah, unless there's been in my time in this country, there's been one scenario where one man got some retribution of fairness, was when the woman that was going around accusing different men of of raping her, when she went to prison, yeah, because it was found out that she was a serial accuser. And
Was this the woman that was sentenced in
I, I,
this was about a couple of years
this
ago?
was a few years ago, yeah, and that's that one when you saw him on TV, you could see that he was, even though his name was clear, he was already psychologically broken. You get what I'm saying? It, it's a situation where you could see the man was broken. So it don't matter what the outcome from a court case like that is. There's win or lose, that person has been condemned in some capacity for life, and there will be always a
Would you rather that instead of her putting the thing on social media to tell the community about it, that she decided to go down the legal route? And if she had gone down the legal route and there was a conviction for at least one of those allegations, in your opinion, would it have been justified for the matter to have been made public at that point?
I'm saying because it wasn't her, and the information that she's receiving is essentially, because it's not her, it's not firsthand. The information that she's receiving is then hearsay. As the well, on you asked me, you asked me, and I'm explaining what my thinking is. Because it's hearsay, what she should have done is be supportive of those people that revealed gave her that revelation, and rightfully so, support them to make the necessary steps to bring it to the right attention, supporting them. And these in and with that support, they can then come forward. But what she done, she's taken it on, and I can understand the emotions in it, and this is why I said it's such a delicate era, and I'm treading carefully. But what she's done, she's become judge, juror, and executioner in the method used, whether she intended it to be that way, and whether or not, you know, it's like, if he did good, you understand, and I understand that narrative. If she jungle justice, if he did good, but if he didn't, you always have to weigh up the well, what if he didn't? This man's name's mud, no matter what now, and it will always be mud. No, only in the eyes of the law, when whether you go to jail or not, in those scenarios. In this scenario here, that's what I'm saying. In the eyes of the law, in most cases, when it comes to sexual crimes, it's a paradigm altogether. It's a different paradigm altogether. You're guilty even when you're not guilty, and when you're guilty, you're guilty. You know, and no, but that will never happen, because even if she should do that, there will be quarters, there will be people that interpret it as she was forced to do so, because you get what I'm saying. He will always be seen as that, no matter what, by some people. Some people might say, no, why? I mean, knowing on them saying clear name anyway, but it will, that will always be there, you know. And in situations like that, I just feel that due process should have taken place, where at least before that comes out, in that sense, it had gone through more rigorous checks. So then when it goes through the rigorous checks, if he's then guilty, then it comes to light. But if he's not, he gets the chance of having some semblance of a normal life without the disparaging. Exactly.
forward as well for women up until. Like, so she can build a very, like a collective station that's many people or victims as possible. I think that's also one of the reasons she explained as to why she put the video out.
No, but if that is the case, if that is the case, if the first case was strong enough, then and then there was a charge, then that would have gone out whilst that was taking place. Like there was that Uber, it wasn't Uber. I don't want to say Uber and get Uber vexed. There was that taxi driver that was assaulting women, and he went to prison, but because he didn't disclose some of the things that he's done, they added it as a separate sentence. Because if you understand the criminal justice system, when you go to a police station, if they find you guilty of further crimes that you didn't disclose at that point when you have the opportunity to, then they can add those charges separately, and that's a separate thing altogether down the road. So a lot of people serve to come clean whenever things like that, so they all those people that they're saying, okay, they did A, B, C, D, E, right? But if they didn't say they did GHF, for example, and then down the road GHF comes to light, they can be resentenced and sent back on a fresh charge, and that's what happened to him. So if ABC, because she made reference to one, but she made reference to there were others as well, yeah, but only kind of highlighted one person in terms of identification, which again is kind of flagging up a victim that was said in those statements to have mental health problems, also flagging up their thing out a road in a certain way. You get what I'm saying? So even that person already going through mental turmoil, how would they receive it? You get me? And so sometimes when these things take place, you have to put the proper support mechanism in place to help these victims. You get what I'm saying? So it can be impactful in a negative way on victims as well, because just seeing someone arrested isn't always the end goal of a victim, because sometimes there's greater underlying trauma that needs to be recognized. And this is why the police have such a hard time making sure that these things are balanced, because in the interest of fairness, they have to grill the person making the accusation to make sure the information is correct and something is not underhandedly taking place, right? And then they have to also make sure that they follow through, given the right support mechanism and everything, should it be true. And then they also have to make sure that
he's also some kind of a social worker or previous social worker. You mentioned something briefly about that, which is making sure that the victims themselves stay on proper terms so that are possible enough to run a fight forward and help the person on the case.
Say again?
Okay. What would you sort of say? I mean, should she just be left alone as we are, or do you think that, the community should offer her some kind of a support, like the victims some kind of support?
I mean, my understanding is that the police have now taken action, or they're looking into the matter, right? Or am I mistaken? That's the last thing I heard. No, the police advised him about what he needed to. What I heard since that video that he put out, that the police are now investigating. I don't know how true, but nonetheless, irrespective, all I can say is, I mean, I don't. It's a delicate one, because boy, if it's not true, yeah, it's like, boy, how do you correct that? And if it's true, yes, all those mechanisms need to be put in place. So it's a weird one, because I'm a guy that kind of believe in jungle justice either way. You get what I'm saying? And this is why I try to stay clear of these little volatile situations here. You know what I mean? And yes, what she's done is kind of like jungle justice, but she's just kind of done it in the wrong way. Yeah. So once the process starts, then you can say, yo, yeah, well, go on. You know what I'm saying? At least there would have been some validity. But there was no process, nothing in hand. And because, you know what I mean? At least if there was... To some degree.
Sharing your, well, I know you're a South London chap, so it's interesting to hear from your perspective. Us here in Northwest, the way we kind of looking at it is kind of slightly a little bit different. But it's something in perspective anyway.
All right, no worries.
All right.
Good. Yeah. Text message reads, yes, doc, surgery broke down the vaccine thing properly. Let your food be your medicine and your medicine your food. Okay. 938. Big up 938. Reading on the chalk line. Reading on the chalk line. Read on the chalk line. Because the body needs the ability to protect itself. And if you ain't going to do it naturally, and you're not going to do it synthetically, then you're going to be vulnerable. So decide. As a youngster, I asked a question to my then guardian. What if you don't choose the side of God or you don't choose the side of the devil? And my guardian said to me, there's no in between. You cannot be in between. And the only way that you can't be in between something is when it comes to nature. I won't explain that no further. Something either insults nature or complements nature. It's never in between. Either insults or complements. So if you're going to complement your nature, you're going to insult your nature. So with what's going on, with any illnesses out there, it can attack your nature, because if your body ain't in the right way to protect itself. So what you do with your body should complement the ability for your body to protect itself. And if you're not doing it with the complementary methods, if someone gets a bacterial infection, antibiotics, right? Because you're in a situation where it's a harsh environment, and sometimes it's easier to purge the matter quickly than to sit there with a natural remedy. But if you were in that complementary phase already, it would be easier to have not had the bacterial issue in the first place. Prevention. Because the body would be more naturally inclined. But then again, I'm setting myself up, because I was asked the question a few months ago, what things would complement someone's well-being, and I declined to go into that. So I don't want to be hypocritical, and that's why I'm not trying to tell people to or not to. I'm just saying there's always a path and a road. Natural path and a natural road. Anything to add? So yeah, so back to the topic. Big up Ade, nonetheless. If you got any questions, we're in the last 15 minutes or so of the show. So if you got any questions, you want to text or call and ask any questions, or you have anything to add, 0753996843. I'll give it again, 0753996843. And I hope I haven't upset anyone. This is why I discussed with management to see, to completely steer clear of this topic here. But the question was kind of thrown out there at me, and yeah, so I do sincerely apologize if I have offended anyone, because I understand it's a touchy area and not everyone will agree with what I'm saying with that one. And it's because it's so touchy and so delicate, because at the end of the day, if I could pronounce these words, these big words I have in my head with this mask on, I would stress what kind of deplorable crime such a thing is. And I would never be in agreement with such an act. But yet I said where my reservations lied, as best as I could. So, and I think that's where everyone's thinking is, in that sense. So, yeah. Right. So, just to jump back on topic, I was summarizing the little bits before. One of the things I was talking about is the fact of how nowadays it's so clear. We're living in a time and day where everything is so clear. Once upon a time, there was a show called the Breaking the Spell Show, and a lot of things that the Breaking the Spell Show used to talk about used to seem so far-fetched. I remember an episode of the Breaking the Spell Show where I think it was between 2013 and 2012 and 2014. I can't remember exactly when. And they were talking about a new virus that's going to come about. And I think they estimated around 6 years from then. So it was around 2018 that virus was meant to come. Because when they were saying that there would be a cure for AIDS, that show used to be so good, didn't it? Well, I'm not saying it's no longer good, because the Breaking the Spell Show, I'm sure, is still on a Sunday. Different presenters now, but yeah, Breaking the Spell is still on 10 to 12 on a Sunday. The information it has permeated in and you can't regurgitate the same thing, so the show has grown into different areas. I remember the show talking about a new virus coming, but how many, when it was being said and saying that there's a cure for AIDS, that would not be a cure for AIDS, to only for there to be a few years later that there's a cure for AIDS that's not really a cure for AIDS, because I got a good memory. I remember those things. So when I hear something, I always wait. I say, wait, let me see. So when 2018 came and went, and there wasn't a new virus, it was like, okay. But then 2019, there was a virus. 1 year out, not bad. And saying about this virus is going to be seen with the same shocking result as when AIDS did hit the planet. You all remember, if you're old enough, in the 80s when AIDS hit the planet, how much it uprooted and threw cancer out the window, because cancer was the big boy up until the 80s, right? And then AIDS came about and threw that out the window. And then now there's a cure for AIDS that's not really a cure for AIDS. And if you research that, you'll understand what I mean. That's come to pass. And the new virus that's not really let me rephrase that. A new virus that had the same impact as AIDS. So it's like, I see these days as a great day for those people that are aware of what's going on, and people that have been, doing what they need to do. It's confirmation that you weren't wasting your time for a lot of things. Everyone's showing their true colors. And I'm not talking about a war between God and the devil. That's a whole another plane. But there's surely a war between misinformation and disinformation and right information. And everything is so convoluted right now. There's just a lot of confusion. And that confusion can cause anything, make people do what they shouldn't do and make people do what they should. So it's a time that we all have to know ourselves right now. We all have to know ourselves right now and push to fulfill and be able to achieve your potential. Your potential is crucial. Don't just sit by and, when we talk about one of the things that we have to look at, we have to lay blame for the difficulties we have in this society at our door, at our very door, because we've allowed so much great institutions that were developed by our forebearers in this country to fall apart too quickly. One of the things that I was really angry at was when I realized that a lot of young folks in the 70s and 80s took up the raving thing, especially the 80s, took up the raving thing as if it was fun, can't done. Perhaps due to the extreme difficulties that they faced as youngsters on the streets in terms of racism and prejudices, but it caused a tearing down a lot of the established businesses that were in the community. Most of the businesses that were in our community were our businesses. Where have they gone? Those institutions should have gone from hand to hand and business increased. Obviously, some might have been not feasible over time, but the fact of the matter is that these institutions came and went without a fight to keep them where they are within the hands of the community. And we see very few little infrastructure still left of that system. If we look at the Northwest area, you have Miss Allieds, and you have Hawkeye and those guys, still fundamentally a part of the community, but there was so much more Black-owned businesses in that area, in Harlesden. There were so much more. So we have to just start to learn to be proud of ourselves. We have to start teaching our children to be proud of what they have. One of the jokes that used to be in school was that Asian kids weren't interested in the books because they weren't essentially keen in wanting to go to university. I remember that. They weren't keen in wanting to go to university because their parents all had businesses. And that trend changed. A lot of them went to university. But one of the surprising things that came out of that is that even though they all went to university, they still maintained the family businesses, directly or indirectly. And that was a great thing, a great achievement on their behalf that we have to kind of celebrate for them. Not celebrate the next man thing, but I say, well done. Because you have to realize when we done something wrong. I'm just saying there's a lot of community businesses that survived. I'm naming a couple within the Black communities, but they could have been so much more. And again, now there's a rise of Black enterprise all over again. So I think it's the right time to express that as there's a rise in Black enterprise, we push to ensure that the children, even if they go to university, have the business acumen to hold their profession and still make the business function. Or do a profession that grows the business. Because it's extremely important that we maintain these institutions. Tesco started as a market stall, and the institution was maintained. Now Tesco is a super giant. White institutions didn't come overnight. They didn't just say, okay, we're going to make Tesco. White institutions came through hard, long fought generational grafting. Yes, there were privileges with a lot that kept them afloat and so forth, but it came through long, hard fought battles. So just like how they protected their institutions, we have to create infrastructure and systems to protect our infrastructure and grow. And we have to, most importantly, link our institutions back to the diaspora and Africa, so the Caribbean and Africa. Right? We have to link those institutions back because we don't want to be cut off, from the source. We always want to maintain that identity. One of the things that when the source is being cut off is when youngsters start saying, a lot of my own cousins used to think that Jamaica was a bush, but they never came. A lot of them never visited. The ones that visited, we made sure they had the greatest time they could ever have on the planet. They loved it, and they all came back. The ones that came, the ones that didn't come, felt aggrieved when they finally got there and they saw what Jamaica was about, because they said they were raised here and that Jamaica is hard. It was a bush. It was this. It was that. It was just negative. We have to change that narrative about ourselves and instill it in our children. Pride. you know, because the media is not going to do it. The media, as you can see now, using the two dogs fighting, Biden and Trump example, we can see how the media is creating the narrative of who they want to be up front. You know, me personally, out of the two dog fighting, I wanted Trump to win because he was just like giving beer trouble and I fix up a lot of things. And, you know, unfortunately, it looked like he get kicked by the wayside. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, you can see how the media is swinging. So let me wrap up. It's been the doctor's surgery. You know, it's been a pleasure to come and chat with you guys this week. Um, always give us some subscription, guys. We love to know that you can go onto YouTube and in the search bar in YouTube, search the doctor's surgery, THEDOCTORS surgery, SURGERY, and filter by channels. After you search the doctor's surgery, there's going to be a whole heap of videos on all kind of foolishness, right? So then you have to go to the refine button or you know search by type. So there's always a little refine icon button somewhere on the screen, whether it's the computer or whether it's your phone. And when you press that button, you will see type, TYPE. And when you hit the type icon, it will drop down. You will see a whole list of stuff. You want to press channels, and that will then filter out all that noise on YouTube, and you'll see the doctor's surgery in black and white right at the top. Subscribe, watch some of the old videos, get a feel of what the show is about, you know, and give us your feedback. So until next week, I want you all to take care and look after yourself. All the best, you know, practice good practice. All right, take care.